Cool. Ready to roll? Are we live? Right on. All right, everybody. I want to welcome those of you who are here to Google Search for Educators. We've got a few people joining us remotely as well. So hopefully we'll be able to make this a valuable experience for everybody here. But I may forego this a little bit to make sure we don't get feedback. So super short version of a workshop I usually do with a lot more time. We're going to talk about Google Search, talk a little bit about some advanced search techniques, and some specific research tools that Google has released that are free for everybody, so free for us as educators. And dive into those, and if you guys have questions as we go, fire away. It's a nice small group, and Wendy, if you see any questions online, fire away. So welcome everybody. All right, let me start with a little pre-assessment. How many of you here use Google Books? Maybe, and a grimace. How about Google Scholar? Oh, a couple of you. All right, fantastic. Google News? Oh, that's happy news. Anybody use Google News, right? Oh, how about this one? I left this one out. Alerts.google.com. Google Alerts. All right, one. All right, so if you're not raising your hand, you're very much in the right place, and if you are, hopefully I can out-geek you. But one more step on the pre-assessment. How many of you use this site? Hey, so we're going to start where you know, and we're going to move quickly elsewhere. So I'm going to start with a perhaps anachronistic but familiar example. I'm going to search for 21st century skills. And by the way, what we're seeing already is Google Suggest is trying to complete my search before I finish typing it, and Google Instant is bringing me results before I've even hit enter. But if I hit enter, right, now we're looking at 75 million results. But theoretically, somewhere in those results could be the blog post that says, you should have seen my 21st birthday. It was the party of the century. My skills with a beer bong are unrivaled. So, again, we're starting where perhaps you've seen this before, but if I wanted to narrow down those results to just the phrase 21st century skills, what am I going to do? I'm going to use quotes, yeah. So I'm going to do this, and from 75 million results, we're going to go down to 500,000 results and change, right? Now, I've seen the partnership for 21st century skills over and over again. I've done this search a lot. What could I do to remove the partnership for 21st century skills from my results? Yeah, I could do the minus. Again, you might have seen this before. Partnership. Now, in my experience, a lot of teachers have seen the quotes for the phrase and they've seen the minus for removing something from your results, but they don't always remember to use it when they're searching. So I'm going to show you a little trick, just a life hack, if you will, to teach yourself more advanced search strategies. Once you've done a search, you'll have a little gear over here, and you can go down to Advanced Search, and you'll get a simple web form that you can fill out when you want to do a more advanced search. So instead of remembering the quotes here, I can type in the exact phrase, and instead of remembering the minus, I can just say none of these words, please. But the magic is, after I hit Advanced Search, it's going to bring back the search results, and I can just look up here at the top and see how I could have typed it in. So let's see if there's some other things we can learn from the advanced search bar. One of my favorites to share is file type. So perhaps I'm getting the staff ready for our new 21st Century Skills Initiative, better late than never, right? And I want to create a presentation about it. Maybe I don't want to start from scratch. Go out and find other PowerPoint files with the phrase 21st Century Skills in it. Do an advanced search. Now, all of these results are actual PowerPoint files that I can download and use, and I could have just written file type : PPT. So I use that one all the time. Another great one for teachers is do file type : PDF, and you're going to pull back handouts that you could use and put up on your site, whatever it might be. What's interesting is maybe we only want PDFs from educational resources. We can actually limit the site or domain that we're searching and search only .edu domains. And again, we push the button and we're going to learn. We could have just typed site : edu. So now these are PowerPoints from essentially 4-year universities in the US, .edu domains, right? while I'm at it, a very clever use of this is if you're trying to give your kids a more international perspective, you could do something like atomic bomb Hiroshima, right? Let's get rid of that. There we go. And you're going to pull up stuff from Wikipedia in English, history.com, the BBC, etc., YouTube. Very Allied-centric results. But a buddy of mine, Rushton Hurley, taught me this: do site:/ac.jp, and now you're pulling academic sites from Japan, and we've got medical effects of the bombing, lessons learned, survivors, the international school, which, by the way, don't look too closely. This gets to be an emotional topic pretty quick. But now you're giving your kids a very different perspective than they're going to get from Wikipedia or your textbook or whatever, right? So let's go back to the advanced search form. Again, by the way, you find it from the gear on your search results. Go down to advanced search. So I showed you guys site or domain. I showed you file type. You can also search by usage rights. So if you want to use something in a student project and then post it back up onto the web, for instance, you can find stuff that you're free to use, share, or modify. It's going to search the general public, document license, and Creative Commons. We do an advanced search, and now all of our results here, you're free to use, share, and modify. Unfortunately, there's nothing you could have learned to type, but you can use the form, and in many cases, the form can teach you new search tricks. So good stuff? Awesome. So let's turn the corner a little bit. And let's talk about advanced search techniques with specific research tools. So if you haven't used Google Books before, and it looks like most of you haven't, there's two things going on this page. This one on the right is kind of a so what. Google sells ebooks. You can read them on any device, just like Kindle, just like iBooks. It's great. You can read it on the web, on your phone, on your computer, you name it. But this is just an ebook store. What's going on the left side of the screen is entirely different and a much bigger deal. Once Google figured out ad revenue, they developed some technology to scan in books quickly without destroying them. And circa 2002, they went to the great libraries of the world and said, we've got a deal for you. We will digitize your collection if we can use it in our search results. So 2004, which is 11 years ago, they released 10 million volumes from the world's great libraries, full text, searchable, and viewable online. Now, they fought many years of legal battles with copyright holders and authors and the French for some reason, as I understand it, and they eventually reached a landmark decision where the publisher can determine how much you can see. But we can still come here and search for 21st century skills, and we are searching tens of millions of volumes worldwide, and it's going to bring back, being Google, out of 12,000 books with that phrase in it, we're getting the top results here. And if I click on one of them, like this guide of assessment put out by, I can't tell just yet. Is this the ASCD book I clicked on? In any case, when we open this book, we can go to any page in the book where you see these blue hashes, and your search term is highlighted in context. So I don't know about you guys, but how many of you have done like some graduate work maybe? Spent some time in the stacks, right? When I used to do that, I would have a pile of books, and I would end up, no, because I'm looking for my search term, and it turns out it's not relevant to me. So I would never put my high school kids through this experience, but now I can have them searching the world's great libraries. They go right to the page with the search term on it, and they can see straight away whether or not it's relevant to their paper. By the way, I did a poor job of introducing myself. I'm a former high school English teacher and tech coordinator at the site district and county levels, and I've been doing this for the last 9 years, and we have liftoff. So anyway, once you've gone to Google Books and you found your search term highlighted in context, if you're logged into your Google account, you can also then save that book to one of your bookshelves. And not being a physical book, you can save it to multiple bookshelves, and you can actually turn around and share those bookshelves with your colleagues or your students. So the school librarian or media lab tech or yourselves, you can still play that curational role, but instead of setting out like the 14 books about Black History and Black History Month and saying like good luck 40 kids, never mind all the other classes, you curate those, share them online, and the kids can all go to that shelf and all access all those books from home. So if I did nothing else in my 20 minutes, you can search the world's great libraries from any computer. Awesome, right? Good, getting the nods. So if we consider this a spectrum of research tools, perhaps from the most authoritative to the most timely, books are kind of authoritative, got to go through an editorial and publishing process, but not terribly timely. So if we're going to look at, English teachers might call it periodicals, we can start with scholarly periodicals. So if you go to scholar.google.com, instead of searching the whole internet, you're just searching scholarly resources. So typically peer-reviewed journals, some trade journals, some trade magazines. But if we come here and do our search for 21st century skills, now instead of searching the whole internet, whoops. There we go, did I get it right now? Instead of searching the whole internet, it's searching just scholarly resources and bringing these back. Very, very cool. If it's available full text, you'll be able to click through and see it full text. And by the way, if you go into your account and associate yourself with a university, it'll also give you a link to the university resources. But meanwhile, here's an article full text. I think it's in German. But let's just say this was in English, and let's just say it was totally relevant to the grant I'm writing, where I need research to back this up, or it's relevant to my paper for grad school or to your students and for their projects. If I want more like this, where do I look? And we can go back to the interlibrary loan. I've got it on paper. Where am I going to look for more like this? If we go to the end, we're going to look in the references, the works cited, the bibliography, whatever you want to call it. And even though this is in German, we can scroll back. And here we go. There we go. So we've got a long list of references. This article was published in 2010. By necessity, our references are going to be older. 2009, I see a 1998. It's only going to work backwards in time. Google Scholar lets you go the other way. So on the site, you can see that since 2010, this has been cited by 48 other people. And if we click on that, if that article is relevant to us, it's a good bet this other stuff is that has cited it since then. So now we're looking at articles from 2013, 2014, 2012, etc. There's 2014 from JSTOR. So you're going to be able to now look at the references to go back in time, and it's like you've struck a rich vein of ore or something. Now you can go forward in time and see who cited this in the future. And by the way, if you decide to cite it, how about this? Just click on this little button that says Cite, and it gives it to you in MLA, APA, and Chicago-style citations. Right? Have you guys seen the research tool in Google Docs? All right, I see enough people not raising their hands. So a little quick detour, docs.google.com. There we go. I'm going to set up a new doc. And in that doc, I'm going to use the research tool. All right, here we go. In your tools menu, you've got a research tool. And the way it works is this. Let's just say you're helping your staff with their response to intervention program, and you need to write a little overview for new staff members. So you go to Tools, Research, it pulls up this sidebar, and now you're searching the web, and it's bringing back results right in your doc. You can focus those down to just Google Scholar, so scholarly results only. And watch what happens. If I mouse over these, I can pull up the PDF, full text again. If I want to quote the PDF, let's just say I'm going to quote the abstract here. If I can not fat finger, there we go. We're going to quote this in our paper, and what do I have to do if I'm going to quote it in my paper? Cite it. So we're going to go over here, mouse over, and do cite as footnote. And it adds a footnote to the bottom of the page. And by the way, if I'm also building my references while I'm at it, I come over and click insert, and it inserts my reference. Good times, right? Anybody doing graduate work right now? It's like, woo! Don't you wish you had this? All right, so I got just a couple of minutes left. What do I have, Wendy? 5 more minutes? Sweet. So let's look at Google News. So Google News, instead of searching the entire internet, is going to search just news sources. It started out with about 2,500 in English. A couple years ago, it went to 45,000, and they stopped saying. But the idea is it was initially a 20% project of a Googler who, tired of trying to go visit a bunch of news sites to find the news for the day. It actually was during September 11th in 2001. He wrote an aggregator to pull some news sites together into one page, and that later became Google News. So with no human editors whatsoever, his tool sits here and works for us, and aggregates the news. So you can see the top stories are here. It's pulling from all sorts of different sources. And by the way, even from very young kids, any discussion of current events, pull up these different headlines from CNN or Fox News and talk about the difference of bias in the text or authority and authenticity of what they're saying. It's a great place to talk about information literacy with your kids in addition to the news. But the beautiful thing is you can actually set up your own section. So you can see U.S. news, world news. I added Barack Obama like back in 2007. I added an EdTech section. And of course, if we scroll down to the bottom, you can see my vanity section. Sadly, it's usually the baseball player or the programmer, and every now and then there's a criminal, but there's far too many of us, so it's never me. But the point is, if you personalize it, you can set up your own news, and you can even create your own filter bubble by doing something like this, right? I'd love to see lots from CNN and not so much from Fox News or whatever your event happens to be, so beware of putting yourself in a filter bubble. But here's what educators sometimes don't think about Google News, is this is also a research opportunity. So again, we have books, we have scholarly articles. More timely is going to be the news. And the beauty thing of the news is if we do something like this, 21st century skills, and we're pulling back articles from the last 30 days. That's how Google defines news. So now on June 11th and June 12th, we see stuff happening in the Huffington Post and Global Newswire, Springfield Sun. So we know, here's a guy in Springfield, probably the superintendent, right, who's doing a 21st century skills program. We could call him. We could call his office. We could email that school district and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Does it fit with what I'm doing? Can we learn from each other? If your kids are researching the causes of the American Civil War, you could search today's news for the American Civil War. I suppose there'll be more than there usually is with all the Confederate flag talk. But you can jump on there, and oftentimes you'll find reenactments, you'll find museums with new exhibits, and you can actually, again, connect your kids with real people or real places that are doing these things right now. My favorite example was a middle school in Los Angeles did a Civil War reenactment, and using, at the time it was FaceTime, but Hangouts now, they could connect with the reenactors back on the East Coast who were in costume. It was very anachronistic. They're walking around with their MacBooks. But by searching news, you can connect your kids with real people, or you can connect with real colleagues around the world, learning and doing the same things that you're doing. Questions about any of that? All right, I got 2 minutes, so I'm going to show you one more thing. A few minutes ago, we were in Google Doc using the research tool. So you go to Tools, Research, you pull up the sidebar column. You can actually focus it on just scholarly resources. When you're mousing over it, you can look at full text. You can cite as a footnote or insert it. But notice, it doesn't automatically alphabetize the resources as you insert them, and frankly, it's not indenting correctly, right? Any other English teachers, right? So there's another tool that you can use, which is also useful even for paper resources that you didn't just find through the research tool. Like this is only going to work for resources you find through the search function. But if we go into the add-ons, you're going to need to add, the first time you got to go get add-ons, but go get Easy Bib, and then you can manage your bibliography off here to the side, and even stuff that's not available electronically, like professional learning, communities, at work. You can look up any book by title, author, ISBN number, and select that and add it to your bibliography. And when you're done, you add the bibliography to your doc, and it's all alphabetized and properly formatted. Slam! So in about 10 minutes, guys, one of my colleagues is going to come up and do another session, so thank you all for joining us. Wendy, you got to show the crowd changed a little in 20 minutes. So. And thanks everybody that joined us remotely. For us, for EdTechTeam, we do professional development for educators. We run a series of summits around the globe, conference-style summits hosted at schools. We're all over. We're running 100 this year. If we're not near you and you'd like to host one, let us know. We also do custom professional development of any size. So talk to any of us in a T-shirt, and we'd be happy to help you out. Also, if you have geeky questions about Google or iOS or Future Ready Schools, happy to help. Thanks, guys. Oh, yeah.